what's your theme? This is a big game. It's everything coaches and players dream of. What's the theme? What are you pounding to them right now?
Yeah, I mean, similar as last week is we want to go win the game. And so I think obviously there's, postseason, on the line and things of that nature, but every week we're trying to play our best one. And, I'm excited for some of the older guys to get a chance to go play their last one in Spartan Stadium. I think that'll be a pretty cool opportunity. I know they'll be ready to go, and kind of the message to some of the younger guys is let's make sure we go put our best foot forward for them.
As a quick follow-up, what's your thought in your career over home field advantage and playing at home and the psychological advantage, if any, that gives a team?
Yeah, I think, listen, at the end of the day, they put the ball down, you play. Now, with the home field, there's some advantages with crowd noise. There's just some advantages from travel. There's some advantages from familiarity. I mean, there's a reason why there's a slight edge given to the home team. I think some games there's more advantage than others depending on the circumstances. But, as a coach, you prepare the guys the best you can, whether you're on the road or home, and it comes down to executing either way. So.
Great, thank you.
When you're coaching a team, everything comes down to this one game in terms of bowl games, in terms of the season continuing. How do you, as a coach, I guess, prepare guys for that pressure, or is there a way? Is that just something they have to deal with themselves?
Yeah, I think it's all about like the execution in the game plan. I think if you start focusing on exterior factors, like that kind of draws you off the task at hand. So, I mean, our goal is to go limit, this team to the least amount of points that we can. And if we do that, we'll give our offense the best chance to win. So that's kind of the goal and the focus. That's what we're talking about during the week.
Do you feel like your group's been good at that this week?
Yeah, I mean, so far they've been excited to practice, and they had a good one today. And, we got to do that a couple more times. So.
Does your familiar being in Minnesota with Aiden there, does that play into this at all? Are you a little more familiar with the guy than maybe you would just?
Yeah, I think, I know him probably better than other quarterbacks we've played this year. I think, he's with a different offense than he was the last year. He was with the offense that he was a couple years ago. So there is some familiarity. I think he's a really good player. I think back to, 2021, I think it was, and he was the scout team quarterback. And we had a really good defense that year. I think it was a top 10 scoring defense. And he was probably I would joke with him. I said, you give us more problems than the quarterbacks, we're playing during the week. And, so I've seen him up close and personal. He's got a really good arm. He's athletic. He's faster than you would give him credit for. He's got good speed. I think he works really well with the OC, Coach Soraka, who I worked with for a long time. So they're scoring a lot of points. They're doing a nice job.
Another guy, Smith mentioned maybe one of the better running backs that you
Yeah.
guys have seen. How different is he compared to some of these other guys? What does he do well?
His patience, he's a patient runner. We haven't really faced as many patient runners during the year. And what I mean by that is, he's going to get the ball, he's going to be on his reads, he's going to be patient, he's going to set up his blocks, and then he's going to stick his foot in the ground and get vertical. And he does it really well. And that's why he's able to kind of 3, 4, 5, and then at some point he slips through and kind of hits a little bit of a longer one. But I think he's really good.
When looking at the defense entirely, do you feel like you've seen the full potential of this unit because of you've had injuries since week 1?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've been able to kind of see the maximum?
Yeah. I think at times I feel like we've seen it. I think that, I think that the full potential would be a consistency from beginning to end is what we would really like to see. Last week, it was fun. I mean, at one point we had 3 true freshmen, on the field in the secondary. And, that isn't good for my ulcers or my, that type of thing. But it was good. I thought they went out, they did their job. There's things they got to be better at. But, just for the future, I think that is really good experience.
How tough has that been? I imagine it's a significant challenge to have 3 true freshmen that haven't been there all year.
Yeah.
And then putting them into the end of the year, and you've got a lot of different coverages and zone blitzes
Yeah.
and pressures, and trying to keep people on the same page.
Yeah.
Which are the challenges?
I think it's always the battle that you have as a coordinator in terms of your internal battle with because everyone always has ideas. Hey, we want to do that. Hey, we want to do this. But then it's always what are our guys capable of doing? Because the worst thing you can do for a player, let alone young players, is overload them and have them do too much. If that happens, they're going to make tons of mistakes and their confidence is going to wane. So I think that, you know, you always kind of walk that fine line. I thought they handled it well. You know, I think, you know, there's a lot of technique things they could be better at. There's a lot of things that they can do better. But in terms of assignments, like they executed their assignments. They didn't make, you know, busts and things of that nature. That's where it starts. So.
And then you've had an assortment of blitzes all year, but it seemed like there were more this past Saturday. More of them, more extensive blitzes. A lot of them got home. The downside is you have less traffic in the back.
Sure.
So some plays were given up. But
Yeah.
how did you think that all shook out? Am I right that the blitz frequency was higher?
Yeah, I mean, listen, and this hasn't come up this year, but like I'm a big believer in you got to do what you got to do to win the game. And what I mean by that is there's going to be games where we blitz a lot. There's going to be games where we don't blitz a lot. I'm not the guy that's like we blitz all the time, or we never blitz. We just kind of game plan. What do we think we got to do for this week? What gives them problems? What helps give us an advantage? And in that game, you know, we felt like some of those pressures and blitzers were going to give us an advantage. And I think for the most part, the guys did a good job with them.
You mentioned the consistency factor. I mean, you know, again, because of the personnel that you've had to shift in and out. I mean,
Right.
How hard is that to establish? And, you know, how have you kind of been able to kind of work around and get that consistency level?
Yeah, I think that's the goal and the job, and always like what you're trying to get done as a coach is, hey, just create a defense or an offense or special teams where there's consistency to their performance. It'll never be 100% consistent, but you're striving for that type of consistency. And I think, you know, you're always battling against it, but in year one, okay, when you have 60 some new players in the program and you got 12 or 13 of them that kind of come in on defense after the spring, and then you have some injuries, those are all challenges to that consistency. And I think the D staff has done a good job with it. And I think our players have done a good job with just, you know, studying and preparing. And I do want to see it continue to improve. And I think as we have some carryover into an off season, into a next season, and, you know, they have those accrued reps built up, I think you'll start to see that even more so.
The third down the past couple of games hasn't been an area of your unit strength necessarily. What have you seen? Is there anything like a common theme you've seen on third down?
Well, I mean, third down comes down to coverage and it comes down to pass rush. And so, like, we haven't, you know, generated the pass rush that we necessarily wanted. I thought last week, to be honest with you, I thought was better. I think we were 63% efficient. We strive for 67% efficient. I think that, you know, like 3 of the conversions were on 3rd and 1 to 2. So first and second down can help that, you know, because usually the offense has the advantage on 3rd and 1 to 2. So I think it's a combination of rush and it's a combination of coverage. And as we, you know, are able to cover better, we'll rush better. As we rush better, we'll cover better. But I thought they battled, and I think they got off the field in critical situations last week when we kind of needed it.
I was curious. Illinois game kind of landed on Woods at one corner, then, you know, Coley and Hughes ended up rotating there,
Yeah.
and then they weren't available last week. At
Yeah.
what point last week did you understand that those two were not available? If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, it just during the week, you know, just things come up during the week in terms of the physicality of the game. I don't know that I've ever seen it quite the way that it's been happening this year at that position with the number of guys that have gone down. It's a testament to Coach Meade and, you know, his work with his group. You know, you get some young guys out there, you get some guys who haven't played many snaps and going in and playing winning football. So, you know, we got to do it again this week, and it'll be harder this week than it was last week. So.
And Brinson, how was he attitudinally, and did you see
Yeah,
him
I
in the
mean,
headlights, or was he
well, yeah, like he handled it well. I think he's got a characteristic that sometimes you like in terms of defensive backs, where like he's got confidence and like the moment's not too big. Like, hey, just put me in, I'll be fine. You know, and you know, it's not as easy as that, but you like that mentality as opposed to someone who gets, you know, tight and gets, you know, has issues that way. So.
And their pass game was legit. Big receivers.
Yeah.
And experienced
I think that quarterback's a good player. You know, I think he throws it around really well. So, you know, I think, I think they went out, competed, did just enough for us to win. So.
Thanks, Coach.